Hi there, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about Polycystic Ovary Syndrome, or PCOS. We're going to dive into how some really supportive, natural lifestyle changes can help you find a sense of balance and feel way more in control of your own health. Wow. If that quote hits home for you, I just want you to know you are so not alone. Living with PCOS can be just beyond frustrating. It's an emotional ride just as much as a physical one, and it's so important that we just name that right from the get-go. And this is the daily reality for millions of us. The unpredictable cycles, the frustrating acne, those intense sugar cravings that feel like they come out of nowhere. These aren't just bullet points. This is real life. And seeing them all listed out like this, I hope it helps you feel seen and validated in what you're going through. So what is actually going on beneath the surface? Well, the key thing to get is that PCOS isn't just one single thing. It's really this complex dance between your hormones and your metabolism. Think of them like two systems that are supposed to work together in perfect harmony. But with PCOS, they've kind of fallen out of sync. A really big character in this whole story is something called insulin resistance. Okay, so insulin is this hormone that's basically like a key. Its job is to unlock your cells to let sugar in so you have energy. But with insulin resistance, it's like the locks on your cells get a little rusty. The key just doesn't work as well as it should. And because your cells aren't getting the message, your body panics a little. It thinks, we need more keys. So your pancreas starts pumping out more and more insulin. All that extra insulin floating around sends a loud signal to the ovaries, telling them to produce more androgens, like testosterone. And that is where a lot of those classic PCOS symptoms can start to show up. And there it is. That's the cycle. Higher insulin leads to higher androgens, which can then make the insulin resistance worse and mess with ovulation, which, you guessed it, just keeps the whole cycle going. It can honestly feel like you're stuck on a merry-go-round you can't get off of. But the good news? There are ways to gently slow that ride down. And this is not some small sideline issue. Get this, research shows that up to 80% of women with PCOS deal with some level of insulin resistance. It's not a rare complication. For most, it is the absolute central piece of the puzzle. And just understanding that is a huge first step toward finding what works for you. So here's our little roadmap for today. We've talked about what it feels like to live with PCOS and that tricky hormonal cycle. Now we're going to explore 3 really practical pathways, using food as medicine, the link between movement and your mind, and some targeted natural supports. And then we'll wrap up by talking about your journey forward. All right, let's jump right into our first pathway, food as medicine. And listen, this is not about restriction or crazy diets. It's about really understanding how the right foods can become your most powerful allies for creating hormonal harmony. Okay, so one of the most helpful tools we have is something called the Glycemic Index, or GI. Basically, it's just a rating system for carbs. It tells you if a food is going to cause a huge, fast spike in your blood sugar or if it's going to give you a much slower, gentler rise. And that is so crucial for getting a handle on that insulin response we were just talking about. I absolutely love this analogy. Think of high GI foods, white bread, sugary drinks, as a flash fire. Whoosh! They burn super hot and fast. You get that quick burst of energy, but then comes the inevitable crash, which just puts more and more stress on your body. But low GI foods, things like veggies, beans, whole grains, they're like a slow-burning log. They give you steady, sustained energy that keeps your blood sugar stable and your whole system feeling so much better. Another huge piece of the puzzle is tackling that low-grade inflammation that often tags along with PCOS. This isn't about finding one magic superfood. It's about building a whole anti-inflammatory toolkit into your meals. So we're talking about things rich in omega-3s, like salmon and walnuts, healthy fats from olive oil and avocados, and all those amazing antioxidants you find in berries and spices like turmeric. They all work together to help calm things down. Now, let's move on to our second pathway, which builds beautifully on the first, movement and mind. And this is about so much more than just burning calories. It's about making your body more sensitive to insulin and managing the stress that can totally throw your hormones out of whack. So what's the magic number? Well, a great goal to aim for is at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity activity every week. That really seems to be the sweet spot for improving how your body uses insulin. It's all about making those cellular locks less rusty so that insulin key can do its job way more efficiently.
And please, movement does not have to mean you're chained to a treadmill at the gym, especially if you hate it. The best kind of exercise is, hands down, the one you actually enjoy and will stick with. So whether that's a brisk walk outside, lifting some weights, a fun dance class, or a gentle yoga flow, it all counts. It all makes a difference.
Oh, I love this quote. It just nails the connection between the movement and the mind parts of this pathway. Yoga isn't just physical, right? It's incredible for managing stress, anxiety, and depression, all of which are super common with PCOS and have a direct impact on your hormones. It's about bringing your mind and your body back into alignment. And that brings us to our third pathway, targeted natural support. So once you've built a really solid foundation with food and movement, there are certain supplements and herbs that can offer a wonderful extra layer of support. Think of them as gentle little helpers for your wellness journey. But first, and this is probably the most important thing I'll say, this is not medical advice. Supplements can be really powerful, and that means they can also interact with medications or just not be the right fit for your specific body. So it is absolutely crucial that you always talk with your doctor or another qualified provider before you start anything new, okay? First up is inositol. This is a kind of vitamin-like substance that has shown so much promise in PCOS research. Essentially, it acts like a little messenger that helps improve how your cells listen to insulin. By fine-tuning that conversation, it helps support both your metabolism and healthy ovarian function. Next is berberine. Now, this is a compound that comes from a few different plants, and wow, it is getting a lot of attention for good reason. Studies have shown it can be incredibly effective at reducing insulin resistance, so much so that its effect on blood sugar has been compared to the prescription medication metformin. We already mentioned these guys in our food toolkit, and you can also find them as supplements. Omega-3s are just champions when it comes to fighting that chronic, low-level inflammation we see in PCOS. And on top of that, some really interesting studies suggest they might also have positive effects for women with PCOS who are trying to conceive. And finally, something that sounds almost too simple to be true, but the science is there: spearmint tea. Yep, research has actually found that drinking spearmint tea regularly can have anti-androgen effects. What that means is it can help gently lower those free testosterone levels, which in turn might help with symptoms like acne or unwanted hair growth. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. So as we start to wrap up, let's just talk about the journey ahead. I think the single most important mindset you can have is embracing progress, not perfection. This whole thing is about making sustainable, kind changes, not a stressful overnight overhaul. So what can you do, like, right now? Here are 3 gentle steps. First, maybe start a simple journal. Track your symptoms, what you're eating, how you're feeling. You might be amazed at the patterns you start to see. Second, pick just one new thing to try this week. Not everything. Maybe it's just adding a spoonful of flax seeds to your yogurt or taking a 15-minute walk after lunch. And third, find a healthcare professional you really trust to partner with you on this and help you create a plan that's made just for you. And that really brings us to our final thought. Managing PCOS is a journey of self-compassion, truly. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What is one kind thing you can do for your body today? Thank you so much for spending this time with me.